let's create a flow and start working with functions. We will just click Create and choose an instant cloud. We will give our flow a name, and here I will call mine string functions and choose to manually trigger flow, create. The data for the exercise today will be the same, and we will apply a lot of string functions on this data. Go to the course page. The link is in the description below. Here you'll scroll a little bit down to description and take the first value, which is this, Control-C, copy it. Then go to Power Automate. Here I'll click New Step, and I will choose an Initialize variable. This variable will be called ourTextFirstPart. So let's just rename this so we can also see what's going on. So ourTextFirstPart. We will be giving it the same name. So ourTextFirstPart. It will be of the type string. And in the value, I'll simply just Control-V, paste it in. We have our first variable. Let's make a second one, which will be the second and last one for this flow. So here, one will rename this to our TextSecondPart. And again, here I can just copy it here. I have nothing in my clipboard. It will also be of the type string. And the last part, the value here, that will be on the course page as well. It will be this. Thank you very much. Like this. Control-V it in, and I can save my flow. First of all, I want to concat these two together, and we'll use the concat function. It's a short for concatenate, and it looks like this. So I click New Step, and then I'll find a compose. Here it is. And you can use these functions in all kind of Power Automate actions. We'll just use them in simple composes. But again, try to apply them everywhere. They're very useful. I go in here, and to get to the expression, I need to toggle this one over to expression. First of all, let's talk a bit about how we can actually refer to this variable up here. And we will do so by saying variables, then a parentheses, and single quotation marks. Then we give the name of that variable. So this one will be our text first part, like this. This will refer to the first variable. And let us just mark everything. Control X, we have it on our clipboard. Now we want to take the first variable, take the second variable, concatenate. That means that they will come next to each other. To do so, we will use the concat function, a parentheses. Here we need the first text, and this is exactly what we have in the clipboard. So I Control-V. Now we refer to the variable ourTextFirstPart. So we will get the value of that, and we will concat it with the ourTextSecondPart. So I make a comma here. Control-V. So now we are concatenating the same variable in, but we will of course just change our text first to our text second path, like this. What I recommend always do when we write these expressions is Control-A, Control-C. You have it on your clipboard because sometimes they disappear, and you can see they even says that it's invalid. This is a known Power Automate bug. It only does it the first time. So now when I click it the second time, it will not do it. Let's also rename this compose. So I click the three dots, take rename, and here I'll call this one concat. Then we can save and test run it, see that we can concatenate these two variables together. Like this. And if you go into the log to the compose concat, you can see Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive. We're proud to say that they are perfectly normal. Thank you very much. By the way, if you know where this comes from, please let me know in the comments below. This is one of my favorite books. Anyway, we have a lot of things to do. So let's click edit and introduce a new function. Say that I want the Privet drive printed out of this one up here. Then I will need to say I refer to the ourTextFirstPart, and then I'll give an index. It will look like this. So the index of this, and now we have to count, but that will be, since it's 0 indexed, the first position is 0. That is where we are now. I'll say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. So this is the position 37, or the index. And we'll go down here and find a compose. This one we will call compose substring. Always rename your activities. I know I will say this a lot during these exercises, but it's so important we can see what's going on. Especially now in our flow, since we will have a lot of composes. When you and your colleague come back, you can easily see what these composes are about. We go down here. So now we will also go to expression. And here we will use, again, we will use the variable ourTextFirstPart. We will not use the ourTextSecondPart. What we will do here is to find the substring function like this. Then we will say parentheses, and here you can see we're actually guided. We need a text. And that is indeed our variables, parentheses, and then the variable name. So that will be our text first path. This is a very good exercise. We will repeat it a lot, so please do it after me in Power Automate and not just passively watching. So this is our text. Then we can have a comma, and then we can have the start index. That is where we want to start. And since we wanted the Privet drive out, we can say 37. We can also put an optional length to this, but I think what we will do here is to Control-A, Control-C, run it now, and then we will apply it in the next run. Again, it will say it's invalid. It's not. It's a known bug in Power Automate. And here you can see we have it. So I'll click Test, Save and Test, and we will run our flow. If you go to the compose substring, you can see that we're actually starting at Privet drive now. But imagine that we only wanted the Privet drive out. And then we wanted to say, well, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters. We can specify the length of what we want to print out in the actual substring function. Let's just pick Privet. And what we will do here is to click Edit. You can go inside it here. And what you do is to go after the 37. Have a comma, and here you can see we can have a length. I'll just do a 6. Then I'll Control-A, Control-C to copy it, just to make sure it's in the clipboard. Because when I click Update here, it's not, now you can see it didn't update. So what you will do here is to delete it, go into the expression, Control-V, and we have it. That's one of the issues that we have to face as Power Automate developers, is that we have some minor bugs here, but it's not really a lot. You'll get used to it. And the program is so amazing, so yeah, stay tuned. Now you can see we have printed the Privet out. So substring is an excellent way of taking characters out of a string if you know the position where we want to do it. We can do another nice thing is the slice. This is an improvement to the substring, and let me just show you how it works. So I'll click Edit, take a new step, and I'll do another compose. This one will be compose slice here, like this. And we will still refer to our text first part as the variable. So let's do an expression. And here, as I told you, we wanted to look at the slice. It does almost the same as substring, but it is a little bit more advanced. And when I say advanced, we can use it in a few more cases. Here I need a text again, and we practice it, so say variables. And in case you want to finish this, you could see that when I write var, the variables come up, simply just press tab, it will autocomplete. Then we have a parentheses, a single quotation marks, and now we give the name of our variable, ourTextFirstPart. This is what we're looking at. Then we go outside here, we'll have a comma. Now we need a start index. We will use the start index just as before. So here I can say 37 and a comma, and now we need an end index. Before we needed a length that was 6, and here we just say 43. Again, Control A, Control C, mark it, click OK. There you go. Now save and test. Run the flow. These ones are of course really fast because those are just compose strings where we just work with data inside Power Automate. There you go. We now have the same results. But we can also see, let me just do this. I'll have a new step. Let me do a compose once more. I just want to show you what the slice can also do. So slice 2. And here, again, I'll go into the expression. Here I'll do a slice. The text, that will be variables. Let's train it. Let's keep doing this until it sticks. It will, trust me, when you have done this throughout the video, and when you finish that, you will know how to write these functions very well. It's not complicated at all. Anyway, we have our variable here. Then we can actually say we want to start at -6, and that will go, because the start index is 0 at the start at the variable. Then we go negative, that is, we take from the end. Let me show you. So I'll just Control A, Control C, I'll click OK. Here, we will save and test. Let's go do it. Yep. So the slice 2, here you can see that now we got normal out. And that is because if I go up to my text, that is because we have normal here at the end. So we can do a few more things with the slice. Now I want to introduce you for a function that I do use a lot, which is the replace. So click new step, find the compose. Let's say that I want to change the name of this ourTextFirstPart. I want to replace the Dursley to Jensen. So again, let us just rename it down here. So I will find a, what it is, compose replace. I'll go into the input. And here I will pick an expression. And what I want to do here is to find the replace. And now I have a parenthesis. We'll need a text that we will look at. Then we will look for something, and we will tell Power Automate, or this replace function, what we want to add instead. Let's do it one step at a time. So here I need to have the variables, parentheses, single quotation marks. We again need to refer to the ourTextFirstPart, and now you can see here my expression disappeared. That's fine. We will just add it again. So another excuse for practicing these things. So this one will be ourTextFirstPart. Then I want to say, I want to look for something, and this one needs to go with the new thing I add. Here I want to look for Dursley. So I'll, in single quotation mark, I specify the string to look for. Remember to spell it right, otherwise we can't find anything. Then I'll have a comma, and then I'll say, what do I want to add in instead, or replace? I'll have it in single quotation marks. Control A, Control C, mark it again, click OK. Here we have our replace. Let's try to run it. In the compose replace, you can see Mr. and Mrs. Jensen of number 4. Now we have replaced it. And this is a very useful function. I also want to show you the toUpper. And if I go into new step, and you know the drill, just find a compose. You will rename it to toUpper. And we will go into the input. Go to expression. And here, the reason why we do this is that we often get data from different kinds of systems. And when we just want to compare the characters, regardless of if they are upper or lowercase, then we will convert both these two to uppercases or lowercases, and then we can compare. It looks like this. So I'll say toUpper. And then I want to have my text, which were in the variables here. ourTextFirstPart. Control A, Control C, you will get used to this, and you can see it can be annoying that each time this bug occurs, it's always the first time, but you'll get used. And some days it's not there. Just you don't do anything wrong. It's just the way Power Automate is at the moment. Here you can see that it's all uppercases. We can also do a toLower, but I will leave that to you because it works exactly like what we did. Now I'll click Edit. We can also try to search for something with the indexOf. Say I want to search for a number here in this one here, then it will give me the start index of number if I start doing that. So I'll have a new step. Find a compose. Yep. And this one will be compose, and then we will say indexOf. So here we'll have an expression, and what we just do here is that we'll say indexOf. Then we want to have a text to look in, and again we will just use the same. So ourTextFirstPart. Then we will have a comma, and we want to search for something. Remember to put it in single quotation marks. Here I will search for normal. Control A, Control C, click OK, and do this. So now let us just do this. And let's see if we can find it. So if I go to the indexOf, we can see that normal are in position 94. Does that looks right? We go up here, and it does not really. And that is because we have the normal here. And I think I accidentally said number, but I meant normal, and I also used normal down here. So 95 is the right thing. I hope you enjoy these videos. You'll see me make some smaller errors here, but what I meant was the normal. Thank you. Let's also change this to, we can find the nthIndexOf. So if you look in this one up here, you can see that we are having the MR, we're having them twice. We're having it here and here. I know that this says miss in the second one, but we can actually say, I want the first occurrence of it, the second one, the third one. That doesn't really exist, but we could try it. So let's find a new compose. Yes, and I'll find an nthIndexOf. So compose nthIndexOf. Let's go try that. So we will make an expression. And here I will find the nthIndexOf. Parentheses, and you can see it guides us pretty much through. Again, we also use the same, but our text first path. Now we'll have a comma. Now let's try to look for Mr. with a capital M like this. And here we will have the occurrence. So I'll just say 1. That will be the first occurrence. This will be equivalent to the indexOf. indexOf takes the first occurrence also. So we literally just wrote the same with different functions here. Control A, Control C, click OK, test, save and test. like here. And now you can see the nth index is as index 0. That's because our text starts with MR. You can also, let me just click edit here. Let's try to change it. And if I go into my expression, let's change it to the second occurrence. So I change 1 to 2. Control A, Control C, update. And now you will see this didn't update. And again, it's kind of annoying when this happens, but right now we will have it. So the solution is often just to delete your function and then add it again with whatever you changed in it. Here I changed 1 to 2. And now we are running it. And again, here you can see that what is supposed to run smoothly, it just took some seconds. Here we have the end index, and now we have the index 8. And again, this was because it's index 8 here. Index 0 here, index 8 here. Then we can start to, we can also introduce the lastIndexOf. So if I say new, do a compose, and I really hope you will do these things and start to use them in your flow. You will learn a lot about writing functions. So the strings functions is a great introduction to functions because those ones are the most used ones and they're easy to understand. Then we go in here. Now we go into expression. I'll say lastIndexOf, and we'll have a text. I have the variables ourTextFirstPart, like this. And then let's try to look for Mr. again. And here you don't need an index. This is because we will find the last index. So we will look for Mr. and then we will take the lastIndexOf. So I'll Control A, Control C, and let me just click OK here. And we have it. And again, you have to check here and there. That's just unfortunately how it is at the moment. But I heard rumors that Power Automate wanted to upgrade on this. You can see we have the 8th. And this is the opposite of the indexOf. indexOf takes the first occurrence, where lastIndexOf takes the last occurrence. So these ones work almost like the same, but they pick the first element and the last element. So here we have it at index 8. We can also have if we want to check what a certain string starts with, then we can have a true or false. We can say, does this start with MR? Then we want to have a true value, otherwise a false. It looks like this. I'll have a compose. I'll go into the expression. And here I will have a startsWith. Then I'll have a parentheses. Now I'll have my variables and our ourTextFirstPart. And then I can specify what do I want to search for. Here I just want to say MR, Mr. So Control A, Control C. Again, it looks like this. And this will give us a true false value. And since this text is indeed starting with MR, then this one will give us a true value. And let's try to force it to look for something else. And here, try to look for, we can just, you can just put an X in front of the Mr. Control A, Control C. And as you can see, it's often just a better solution just to delete it and add a whole new expression. There you go. So now let's save and test. And this will result in a false Boolean. So if I go to the compose, you'll see the false. Let's click edit. Let's also rename this so we have it if we want to use it at a later point. startsWith. Now I want to introduce you to a kind of important function as well, a function that we use a lot, that is the split. A split, let me just open up the first variable up here. A split will split a string at a certain character. For example, I can say split this string at a comma. Then it will split here, and it will split by the next comma as well. So we will have 3 strings out of this if we split by the comma. This will also give us an output, not in a string anymore, but an array. An array of strings. We will have an array of 3 string elements. The first element, that will be Mr. and Mr. Dursley of number 4. The second one, that will be a space and Privet drive. And the third one will be the last part here. Then when we have this array, we can work with it, but let's take one step at a time. So we will go down here, take a new step, and find a compose here. And I will say compose split. So what we want to do is I will need to go into expression. What we want to do is to do a split, and here I will have the variables. Again, this can seem trivial, but it will, our text, it will train you first part. Then I want to have a comma, and now I have my separator. This separator is a string, so again, we'll have it in single quotation marks and put in the comma. Control A, Control C, OK, OK. And here you can see the expression. Let's try to save it and let's test it and see that we can get out an array. If I go in here, now we have our output, and this output looks exactly what we expected it to be. It is an array, and you can see it's an array by these hard brackets up here, and the comma separated values. So we have the Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 as the first string, then Privet drive as the second one, and this we're proud to say exactly like we predicted. Then we can start working with this array. And to work with an array, we can do it in 2 ways. We can either, for example, get a specific element out, say I want a second one, or we can iterate through it. And here, let me just edit. Let's try to get a specific element out. So I'll say compose, and I'll do this. So split specific element like this, and then we can write an expression. So to get out the output of this compose split, that was the array that we saw before, we can just do an output. You can use the output a lot, and then we will have the name of the action. Our action in single quotation marks is named compose, then an underscore and a split like this. This one will give us the entire array. Since we are only interested in, let's say, the second one, that was the space and the Privet drive, we go in here behind, have a hard bracket, and then we give the index of the element that we want out of the array. Since we want a second, and an array is also 0 index, that means we should write 1 in here. So I Control A, Control C, OK, OK. I'll click Save. I'll test it. And we will have it here. So that's it. We have the Privet drive printed out. But let's say we often want to have each element in an array, and we can also iterate through each element of that. Very easy. So to iterate through them, we just find an apply to each. Yeah. And what we want to do again, we want to apply whatever that is in this array. Now we will just refer to it because we will need the entire array, and apply to each will cycle through a collection. So I just do this, and I'll find the output of the compose split. So that one is here. Then we want to do something. We can, for example, we can just have another compose that will write these things out. I'll have a compose. And what I will do here is simply just to take the current item of this up here. And this one, we can write another expression as just do this, items. And then we will have the name of the actual for each, apply to each. So we will do this. This one will get the current element, write it out. Control A, Control C. like this. And now we will run this apply to each 3 times. And that is because, of course, we have 3 elements in the array. So we're still running, and this one is ready. You can see here we did have 3 occurrences. We have the first one, that is Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4. The second one is the Privet drive, which we already printed out up here. And the third one is we're proud to say that they were perfectly normal. It's that easy to work with the split and erase. Let's also see another important one. This is the trim, and a trim simply just take white spaces in the start and in the end and make them go away. For example, if we looked at our ourTextSecondPart, you can see that we have a white space at the very start. We have it here, or we have it now at least. Then the trim will remove this white space, and it's very, very easy to apply. We'll just have another compose here. We'll do this. Let's just also rename it. So I'll have a trim here. What I will do is to go to the expression. I will say trim, and then we will have the variables. Our text second part. Control A, Control C. And we haven't lost any expression today, but you're always careful as a Power Automate developer. So now we added a space at our text second part, 1 space, and with the compose trim, we trimmed it away. It's a bit hard to see, but you can see it here. We can also go to show raw outputs, and here inside this one here, it's much easier to see. The next Power Automate lesson is right here on the screen for you. You should go click it.